Happy World Backup Day. What a day. And thank you all so much for joining us today. My name is Rick Vanover, Senior Director of Product Strategy, and we have a very special episode for you. We've already got a great crowd online, and I want to introduce my guest, Didier. Good day. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. A bit tired because very busy days, I guess for you as well, right? You know why? The MVP summit going on, stuff like that. But doing well.
No, and Didier's underselling himself. This is a super community resource. Didier and I also sneaking in when we can the Microsoft MVP Summit going on this week. And we can't talk about that today. Got to make sure we don't have that happen again on World Backup Day. But, welcome again, everyone. And we're going to do something really special. I'm convinced this is going to be a special episode. We have this Mapplication where we track all of the different attendees. We've already let some of the producers and staff and special guests mark the map up. Let us know where you're from, what country. And I'm convinced this one might be the one that breaks all the records of, I think we had 40 some as our previous record, 43 countries. So let us know in the chat. Got Dave, Ken, everyone, welcome. And we're going to zoom into the different continents as you can see here, right? So we'll get, light up your towns. Just let us know. Oh boy, whoever's on map duty has their work. Oh, hey, Alan. Welcome, Alan T. So I know some of you joining as well. So again, big welcome today. So Didier and I are going to condense. Well, actually, I'll ask you a question, Didier. How long have you been a practicing IT pro of sorts?
Almost 25 years.
That's it? I mean, you're smarter than that.
Well, I used to be a biologist,
Whoa, I did not know that. Interesting.
Next time we have a drink, we'll talk.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I've been a practicing IT professional exactly 25 years as well. So we both have the same haircut of sorts, even though you've got more of a hairline. But don't let that fool you. So anyways, we're going to jump into some content. We've got a lot of experience that we have prepared here. And what we're going to do is actually condense so much of this experience into the time we have today. Now, here's the deal. We want to just start with a definition. What is World Backup Day? Well, World Backup Day isn't exactly just a gimmick that the backup products are jumping onto. Now, I do think it's a good awareness effort, but there's actually an interesting story about Matt who lost his digital life. I don't know, Didier, have you heard this story about this individual?
Don't think so.
No,
so
but
have to check it out.
We all can understand the risk, right? Losing data, but I think the individual lost. I think it was his mobile device, like his iTunes account was compromised, or his Apple account was compromised, and it basically was a complete erasure of his digital life because his photos were impacted and everything. And this was a predecessor to what could really happen with ransomware and some other things nowadays. And so the thought is you don't want to have any surprises on April 1st, which I don't know. In Europe, do they do the April Fool's Day? Do they do that?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So if somebody requests a meeting on April 1st, everybody's very suspicious.
That's great. That's awesome. I'm actually taking April 1st off tomorrow. And you know why, Didier? Because I'm taking some good backups and my data should be safe. So that's the whole story of World Backup Day. And it's a great video and stuff if you've ever been to World Backup Day. So this is right off of our big, massive release here, and that's not what we're talking about today. But I do want everyone to know that Veeam Backup and Replication V11 just came out, an incredible platform release here at Veeam. So much into it, of which we're not going to cover it, but just note that that's fresh off of our major release. And so I'm going to pose you a question here, DDA, kind of pivoting back to World Backup Day. If you were to remember one thing or give one piece of advice to people about World Backup Day, what would that advice be?
Have backups and be able to restore them.
That's it. Okay, that's good. That's good. But I want to propose, and we're going to come back to this a couple of different times because it's important. I want to propose a recipe on how you're going to do that. Now, there is this industry standard 3-2-1 rule. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. But at Veeam, we, as we do, we upped the game a little bit. And we were advocating this 3-2-1-1-0 rule, okay? So that rule, one of these days, it's going to be my first tattoo. I'm going to put it right here. But it is the recipe for success. And, DDA, first of all, as a practicing IT pro, is this real? Or is this marketing?
This is real. Actually, I use this rule, the 3-2-1-1-0 rule, to explain how we deliver backups to, for example, the CISOs or the managers that need to from which we need to get the buy-in. So this was where I start. We have a 3-2-1-1-0 rule. And from there, we start explaining what we do. So it's a very good entry point to the entire discussion. Because there's a lot of information in that single slide. And from there, you can just go on the story.
And the one of the interesting things here is that it doesn't require any specific technology. And I don't know if you heard the tale, is that it actually started in the digital photography era. That's where this rule came from. I don't know if you heard that history, but the thought is once digital cards and stuff, the thought is, well, hey, I don't want to lose my cameras. I'm going to put it over on the PC. That's a different copy, that type of stuff. And it doesn't require any specific type of hardware. And it can address any type of failure scenario. So whether we're talking about clouds, whether we're talking about physical servers, virtual machines, tape, dedupe appliances, there's so many ways that we can cut this up. So there's some versatility here. I mean, I helped my daughter with some statistics and permutations here, but I haven't quite calculated how many ways you could flesh out the 3-2-1-1-0 rule. And let me pose it as a question to you, Didier. At home, I kind of float in the 5-copy world myself. Do you ever go above 3 copies?
No, but 3 copies for me is the minimum. I know some people who count their production data as 1 copy, and I'm like, no, I don't do it. It's not a copy.
You don't count production data as 1 copy.
I do not.
So you are a 4-copy type of person. I think you are.
Basically, yeah.
So that's an important bit because the original definition does say 3 different copies of data, 2 different media, 1 of which is offsite. And it could be a simple cut as production, backup, DR. That's one real simple way to do it. DR, presumably offsite, different media, different technology. Now, that being said, if you count the production data, then that does indicate basically another copy. So if you have 3 kind of availability copies, let's just say it that way, a minimum 3, then you're actually designing well. That's why he's a guest on the show, everybody. Interesting. Awesome. Okay, so that is that's our ground rule, right, for backup. It's the starting point. That's how you get started with it. So now we're gonna I want you to just unload on us, DDA. I said to DDA, I'm like, this is one of the best people. I mean, he's an MVP. In fact, he's a Veeam Vanguard and he's representing the shirt. Appreciate that. But DDA is also just really good. Working hard on IT. Working hard IT is his Twitter name. But DDA, as a practicing pro, how do you go about all of your experience in backup? And here's our top 10 list. Walk us through your advice here.
First of all, of course, have backups. And this seems very obvious, but unfortunately, it is not. Everybody, or a lot of the times, people seem to assume somebody is taking care of it. So have that discussion with everybody, the business, the product owners, the developers, everybody involved. Everybody should know we need to protect our data, we need to protect our applications, have the backups, and have recovered all our bases. Once you've done that, of course, you're going to have to test the restores because you want to know how this works. First of all, you want to know that it works. Secondly, you want to know how it works because you don't want to do this for the first time when you really need to. And then you have to know all your scenarios, right? Because you can do one type of backup and restore, but you can do multiple types of restores, instant recovery, or you could do file level recovery. So know those in advance, know how your environment is set up and what works and doesn't work. So it's very important to do that. And then you have to have all your services covered. We're talking about dependencies, and that's a broad discussion, right? You need to know, do I have dependencies that I have not documented or do not know about? It's a very obvious one to say Active Directory DNS, but it's an important one, right? So somehow, if you're in an on-prem environment, in a Windows environment, you're going to have a dependency on that by definition almost. So But there are others. You have to really go and try to find them and make sure that when you do a recovery, that you haven't forgotten one or the other and that you do them in the right order. But also, the next step is look at your fabric dependencies. So we mentioned Active Directory and DNS. What if your recovery is dependent on having that DNS server there? Maybe that's not a good idea. I like also to make sure that my entire backup fabric is independent of what I am protecting. So there is no dependency. I have a secondary DNS server that does zone transfers because I'm not leveraging the actual production DNS service to find everything. I have that separate. That's in my backup fabric, independent of what I'm protecting. Very important. Those fabrics, by the way, have to be protected in every possible way you can imagine. I call this functional paranoia. So you have to make sure that you protect it with your life, so to speak, because that's your fallback scenario. You know, backups are nice, right? You have somebody accidentally deletes a file, you have that covered. Somebody has a corrupt database, you have that covered. That's all very well, but you know, the ransomware, the wiper thingy, it is a clear and present danger, so to speak, and it's rampant across the world. That's a whole different ballgame. And what we have to do is provide the means of recovering from that. So that takes you into the realm of planning for worst case scenarios. You're not a very, let's say, positive person at that moment in your thinking, because you say, actually, everything is going to fail and we're going to end up with a compromised environment. We've lost our control, we've lost data. Now, how are we going to recover? And it's my job to make sure we have the options to recover. That's a very important aspect. The self-contained backups, why is that so important? I have seen backup products in my career where you have a dependency on something that might get corrupt, like a database. Veeam in that respect is very, very nice. You have the files, you can restore them. There's always a way to restore them, and that's awesome. You can just copy them, take them, and you can get to them even with the free tools. You know, you don't even have to have a valid license to restore them. It's awesome. So I like that very much. Automation is king because all the things we discussed there, you have to test them, you have to verify them, and of course, automation for an IT pro. Well, I guess you can put one and one together. Why we like it. The reporting itself, yes, it's always nice to have a heads up about an issue in your environment before it actually happens. So there is proactive reporting, and there is also, of course, reporting. Hey, there is something wrong. Fix it. So please, monitoring is key. Just about with everything in IT, I would say. Then the fact that you have the reliable support, that is always extremely appreciated. No matter how smart you are, no matter how experienced you are, there's only 24 hours in a day. And there's only so much you can know by yourself. So you need help. At a given moment in your life, you need help. And then you want to fall back to a dedicated team of professionals. And I must say with Veeam, I've always been very happy with the support. There's an awesome crew. They really take care of their customers. And I haven't had to use them yet, but I also learned that Veeam has this ransomware response team. And I find that awesome. Because, look, I don't want to bank on them, right? I don't want to use such a response team as a fail-safe. No. It's very nice. Look, when this happens to me, I'll be in a pickle. I'll be very stressed out. And the fact that I can call in and say, look, this is the situation, I need help, and somebody is there, dedicated, highly motivated professionals to help me out, is going to be, you know, an extra benefit, an extra option I have in my bag to help deal with the situation. The only thing you shouldn't do is think, oh, they have a specialized team, they'll fix it for me. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to provide the means for them to help you as good as possible. And that's everything we've discussed. And I put the 32110 rule last for you, but in the end, that covers it all. Because that rule is about options. If you follow that rule, and you have leeways on how you fill those rules in, you can take different solutions, you can mix and match them to your needs. But the thing about that rule is options. Because imagine you've lost a company and you have one option and that option fails. Then what? No. You don't want that to happen. There's this rule in high availability in critical situations. 1 is none, 2 is 1. And that's why I actually don't count the production copy as the third copy. Because that's my first copy, and 1 is none, right? So I can't bank on that. That's going to be gone at that moment. So
that's actually brilliant. And you're harnessing your inner architect and all of that advice. So I got a lot to come back with here. But first, we're going to go over to the application here. So thank you all for whoa, wow. I'm not even going to try to harness my inner mapper. And we got New Hampshire. I think I know who that is. I got Colorado. Sir Dave Russell is on the line. Welcome. Illinois, Wisconsin, Texas, California, Florida, both Carolinas, Pennsylvania, Connecticut. Wow, great stuff. Mexico, bienvenidos, everyone from Mexico. Thank you. And Europe, we got Northern Ireland, we got Spain, France, Italy, Swiss, Germany, Poland, Czech, was it Slovakia or Slovenia? I apologize. Maybe we got both this time. I don't know. Greece? Yeah. So we got Russia. We've got Brazil, Chile. Thank you. A lot of Brazil, by the way. They're taking over. And big shout to Matthias W. This morning. South Africa. We've got Egypt. We've got Australia, India. Wow, Australia live. Hong Kong. Wow, APJ represent. I love it. Indonesia. Awesome. Wow. Okay, whoever's on map duty, I really apologize. Thank you all for letting us know where you are from. I think we have a record brewing here. So, whoa, awesome. So, Didier, thank you so much for that advice. Now, here's the thing. When I look at that list of 10, I agree with everything you've said. And for the listeners here, him and I did not prepare. I mean, I sent him the slide. He sent me his slide. We put it together. Let's practice it live. That's how we roll. We're seasoned presenters. Yeah. The one that I think is, I'm going to take a couple of these. I'm going to talk about fabric dependencies. That's a very good advice because that leads its way to some of the changes organizations make after an incident, after ransomware, or after a critical failure and things like that. Those fabric dependencies are those really important things that you don't think about. So number one rule, don't use one account for everything. Another MVP, Dave up in Canada, he's given us advice. He's also a Vanguard around a completely different management domain for the backup infrastructure, and then separate and he's a Hyper-V environment, so he keeps different credentials over there to then separate from the production environment. Because if you have account issues or administrative boundaries getting in the way, it can affect your ability to restore. So separation is good. What's the phrase? Microsegmentation on networks and least privilege.
We call it separation, segregation, isolation, and you do that all over the place. You do that for your networks that you use. You do that for your accounts. You do that for your storage, right? Your storage, your backups are not going to the same storage arrays where you are running your production data. So you have to do that everywhere, not just one bit, right? Mm-hmm. Has to be completely separate. Everything might be gone. Your backup and restore environment has to be standing there, happy, standing ready to go. And if that would get compromised, immutability, right? Nowadays, that is.
Yeah, and I have nothing but evidence in the form of case studies at Veeam.com of bad things happening to good arrays. So, don't have your production data and the backup data on the same storage system. As much separation as possible. That is the two different media, right? That's coming into play right there as the specific advice. And the other, cheers, Marco. How much Veeam gadgets on the wall? Well, I'm not allowed to move my camera, but trust me, it goes all the way around. I'm basically the resident historian here at Veeam. I save all this stuff from the events and stuff. A very colorful office here, so appreciate y'all catching that. We're going to redo this office here in a bit, so I'm going to have all new swag showing up here soon. Okay, so other one I want to highlight is number 9, reliable support. And I'm with you, Didier. The Veeam support team and someone else echoed the comments here. Big shout, lots of respect. In fact, just last night, I took the VP of support out, bought him a beer. He just moved here to the Ohio office, and I love listening to the Veeam story from that group. In fact, two of my team have even had previous roles in Veeam support, so I have a high regard for Veeam support because, and a lot of people don't know this. We run all of our support with our own employees. We don't outsource it to a call center, that type of stuff. You get qualified, trained individuals that don't navigate a script. That's another thing. A lot of times people think, I'll just give me the next level, escalate all right away. I don't want to deal with the first.
I'll second that. They really listen to you.
Yeah.
And they really try to help you. And I also try to help them. I always try to make sure I have all my logs, I have all my evidence, I have every description of what's happening. I even tend to make videos to show them, look, this is reproducible. That's what happens. And I help people that have to help you, help them to help you, basically. That's what it is.
Awesome. That's a really smart idea, the reproducing videos. Hey, John K. from Mansfield, Ohio. How you doing? I'm just down the road on 71. Awesome. So the third one I want to highlight, so I got to pick another one. Ooh, you know what? I'm going to go back up the list, self-contained backups. And this is a big one. In fact, I'll give a little preview. We're getting ready to launch the Vmon website at vmon.com, or we did launch it, but we're going to launch the agenda. I have a website, Didier. I stole it, or a session at Vmon. I stole it from a previous Ignite. I called it "Hold My Beer While I Restore Your Data to the Cloud." So I actually got that approved. I thought Veeam would totally not let me do that, but the self-describing portable data, this is a really, really big positive characteristic. Imagine all you have is your backup data. You lost your complete environment. You have absolute portability. That's something built into our DNA here at Veeam. So awesome. Cheers, Jonathan, for the shout on support. Give you a like. I am watching this live as well. So thank you so much, DDA, for these pieces of advice. But we have something for everybody. So one of the things I want to highlight here is we have some free Veeam products. I know we've got a massive amount of people on the line. And if you didn't know, basically every Veeam product has a free edition, and that's intentional. We want to capture the hearts and minds of the IT pros like yourselves in the world. So if you go on over to the website, there's a dedicated whole section of free products. And let me give you an example. The free Veeam backup for Office 365. A lot of people don't know that they need or should be backing that up, right? But you can back up 10 users right there. That's a really good way to start for free. I know, DDA, you like to tinker around and things like that, but there's so many different free products that people can check into. So, there's a lot of links, but it all starts at veeam.com. Oh, and by the way, if anybody's using containers, there's a free version of Casting K10 that you can back up, say, on AKS, EKS, and other containerized environments. And have you played with any of the free products, DDA?
Oh yes, absolutely. And I promote them. If people need something, I say, "I'll take a look here. If you like it, use it. It's free." And I must say they are awesome because, bar a few, let's say, high-end features, they are feature complete, right? I mean, like VBR, it's just about everything you can imagine. So it's incredible. And I also like it that they are easily available. I don't like companies that tell me, oh, you have to register and you have to wait and you have to apply to get it. And then we might send somebody because we don't trust you enough to think on your own. You might get the wrong impression. No. I mean, Veeam is confident in its product, right? Here it is. Take it, use it, play with it, and see what you think. So there's no strings attached there. You're just very confident in that your product has something to offer people will like. And you don't have to hide it behind all kinds of schemes to get our attention or take our attention. So I like that.
Well, cheers. And we got a question in from Juan about, do you have a service or offering to help customers review their current infrastructure? So Juan, the answer is yes. And we have a whole professional services team. Short answer is reach out to your account team. So that's you can get into some paid engagements with the VPS, Veeam Professional Services, those types of things. It's partner driven, but yeah, just reach out to your sales. team. And the other thing, great couple of shouts about both Veeam support and about It Just Works. I love that. Somewhere in the room here, I have a banner that still has the It Just Works, but really appreciate all the validation on the community edition. So we're going to get one more question. Mayor, Mr. M, Ms. M asks, is there a document or a single link to all those free versions? So if you just go to Veeam, it's on the screen. There you go. We got a B&R trial. So that is for backup and replication. But if you just go to the website, there's a whole free product section, which will tour all of those because it goes to each product. So, all right. So now we're going to get into some of the prizes. Yeah. Oh, and then Jeff, look at that. Jeff says you can also email customer.success@veeam.com. Thank you for that, Jeff. The Iron Man is on the line. I like it. Okay, so we have some prizes for everyone. So we've harnessed a little bit of our inner architect, our inner advice, but also part of what we want to do here is give back to this community. So there's actually some legit swag on the table. Well, not really on the table, but up for grabs. So if you go to the QR code, and I did add a short URL because I was freaking out right before the call because my app wasn't reading this barcode correctly. My bad. And then Kate Z is going to drop it in the chat here pretty soon, but we're giving away, a fancy pair of, I forget what they are. They're like smart glasses. We've got, looks like some sort of, I don't know. It's tech gadgets. I'm a simple guy. I use a 4-year-old phone. But anyways, there's some cool stuff that is out there for you. But I think it's outlined on the page. So if you want to win some of this stuff, go on over to the page. Now we do ask you to register for it. But, if you're already got a Veeam account, you're already in the family or the friend of Veeam that we like to call it, FOV. But on that same page, we're going to pick these 3 winners. Okay, but we're going to do something awesomer, if that's a word. So I said to the people, I said, one of the things that we can do differently today is give like a digital experience, right? And some of you have already seen it. DDA's got one on behind him. I like it with the backup like a boss digital livery. But we're also offering our design team will make you an avatar, much like what you see here. And here's the deal. Our professionals love these creative opportunities, like everything from the producers of this show to the design, the PowerPoint team, Kate said, and the others who help us out with all of these wonderful things. They love it when you give them special projects. Like, don't give me a boring website about business value, blah, blah, blah. Take a picture and make it cool. Now, the problem is I lost some weight since that last picture, so I think I might need to ask him to redo it. We'll think about it. But DDA, that's like a nice timeless picture of you. You're welcome to use that for, virtualize if you ever have a blue situation. It seems to match. It's good stuff. So Ricardo says, love the product. Just had a problem with some SQL and stuns. Ricardo, you should use the agent. That's actually a great workaround. If you have stun associated with virtual machine backups, that's one of the benefits of the universal agent or universal license, because Veeam Agent for Windows can come in there and move the data a little bit differently. There's no snapshots. So Ricardo might want to check that out. And there's no cost because of the universal license. Actually brings up a good practice point. DDA, have you ever used the Veeam Agent in a VM to get around some storage and snapshot issues?
Well, snapshot issues, yes. As you know, we've got VHD sets in Hyper-V, and they tend to be a bit, let's say, tricky and maybe sometimes unreliable. So if you want to have a guest cluster because you need the high availability, but you don't want to run into any issues later on with your backups, one of the workarounds is to use the Veeam Agent in a VM. I've actually worked on that with Timothy in Belgium. So tried something out for some customers. Yeah.
And if you have an application cluster, the agents are the only way you can do that with Veeam, really. So because of the multiple nodes. So Ricardo asked, what about ransomware? Or sorry, Patty asked, what about ransomware? Lots of ransomware resources. I'm going to send it over to the producers. Ransomware series papers. Put that link, if you don't mind, from one of the producers into the chat. We've got a whole white paper library of some of the ransomware stuff, and I want to let everybody know I'm getting ready to update it because we have some new capabilities for V11. If you go to the V11 site, you can find out about the hardened Linux repository and more, but we have plenty of stuff related to ransomware resiliency. So some key takeaways. Start with the free edition. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Immutability, and multiple options. Never rely on a single option, and make sure at least one of them or even more are immutable, because bad things do happen to good people.
Absolutely. Immutability all the way, anywhere you can. I was talking to one organization that's doing double immutability and going to tape. So you have this offline, and they were designing around the new Linux repository with immutable first, then to the cloud and AWS for S3 immutability, and then off to tape. That's kind of awesome. 3 ways.
Nice.
Yeah. You got. Oh, by the way, DDA just helped co-author an awesome paper around some storage spaces direct, and we got some love for that on the stream there. So yeah, you and Karsten teamed up for a nice kind of high performance storage spaces direct paper. We can find that in the forum digest. That was a great resource you just did, DDA. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So we got one more thing to give away for everybody, believe it or not. And well, I lost my other slide. Where did it go? Hold on. I lost the slide, everybody. Oh my gosh, I lost the slide with the download. No, I think I accidentally hit it, unfortunately. So we're just gonna solve this right now. Oh no, no, it's there. Sorry, it's just out of sequence. My bad. I promise this is not my first day presenting. But what I wanted to get into was these backgrounds. So DDA has the backup like a boss. I guess we'll call that a peacock of data that he has. But you've seen some of these maybe on Twitter. But if you go to the backgrounds page here, the QR code will take you right there. And then maybe if one of the producers can drop in that URL, will come in. Oh, good question from Robert. When will V11 certification for DR be released? So, Robert, the big answer to that would be the Veeam Disaster Recovery Orchestrator product, which did go to V4 just recently. So I would encourage you to check that out. Goodness, guys, the map is ready. Let's see what we've got. Whoa, I gotta think this is a record, guys. 28 U.S. states, over 40 countries. Well, thank you all for letting us know where you're from here. This is great. I'm really especially about multiple, including Thailand over in APJ. This time of day, we basically have coast to coast now. That's awesome in the U.S. The main of Europe well covered. We got to work on that. Luxembourg, I got to get them in there. And then a lot more in South America. Brazil, overwhelming love from Brazil. Thank you all so much. More in Africa there. Appreciate that. India, some people in Middle East, and then APJ, New Zealand. Whoa, yep. That might be a first for live, because that's plus 17 hours for me. Amazing. Wow. And I can't even get to all the questions. Everyone, thank you so much. DDA.
Yes, sir.
Where can they find you on the interwebs and things like that?
First of all, my Twitter handle, Working Hard in IT. My blog is workinghardinit.org. So that's very easy to find. So just Google my name and I'll jump up all over the internet. I tend to be verbose. I tend to write in multiple streams, multiple locations. Why? Because I think sharing is caring, and what goes around comes around. And I help people out with what I learn, and they help me out. And everybody, it's a win-win situation. Why not?
DDA embraces the spirit of technical evangelism in the IT communities in which Veeam operates. So thank you all so much. And, another place you can get an aggregated list of all of DDA's work is over at the Microsoft MVP site. You find his profile. It's got links to some of his public-facing stuff. So DDA, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Very welcome, Rick. It was a pleasure to do.
Well, goodness, everyone. On behalf of the Veeam Global Marketing team, our producers, and the Veeam Product Strategy team, and all the different teams, lots of teams, and whoever had map duty today, I really want to thank everyone for attending and the internal people who helped bring me this content. And you can find more at some of the links that were shared out in the stream. And we had almost 400, 500 people live. It was incredible. Thank you so much for attending. That concludes today's broadcast.